Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Alfonso, giving a shout out to
Something else.
something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matata, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
And welcome to episode number 169 of Something Else. Feast your ear holes on this week's episode as we take a look at Mid-South Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling from February 25th, 1984. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is... I don't know. I didn't really write something down there. Is the Tom Ernesto to my Kelly Kiniski. It's Trae. Trae, how the hell are you today?
Your dad's a better promo than you, and also a better wrestler.
Oh, God. Kelly Kiniski. Kelly fucking Kiniski. He's going to be in world class now until almost the end of 85.
Oh my God. It is February 84.
Yeah. He's going to be in world class until October of 85. And then he goes to Mid-South. And he actually, he doesn't last long in Mid-South because Bill Watts brings in Sting and Warrior, and he has to cut somebody, and he cuts Kiniski, which pisses off a lot of the people in the locker room because Kelly Kiniski is such a fine, upstanding young man and a good wrestler, and Sting and the Warrior are not. And Bill Watts had to explain to them that, these two are money and Kelly Kiniski is not. So
yeah, that certainly checks out. Just wait, Arya. Just wait until we get that 15-minute time limit draw scientific match between Kelly Kiniski and Johnny Mantel.
I will quit this fucking show.
Oh. Now I hope it happens.
Wow. Well, so 1 week when Trey's doing the show by himself, you know why?
No, I just want to see how you're going to get out of the stipulation.
By the way, happy Ric Flair's birthday to you today.
Oh, wonderful! That's happy Ric Flair's birthday day to me. No, that's his birthday and not his kidnapping day or his adoption day, right?
I mean, it's the day that's acknowledged as his birthday, but I think it's his adoption day because I don't think they know
if it's February.
I
was joking. If it's February, his birthday's in February.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the accepted birthday, but I don't think it's his real birthday.
No, he had his birth certificate and stuff.
Did he? I thought there was some shenanigans about that.
Not that I know of. I know he wrote about it in his book that he had the documentation for years and never looked at it until he was writing the book. But he knew where he was born and his biological parents' names.
Poor Fred. Yeah. He had to go and get
adopted
by a doctor. Yes.
Can you imagine that alternate timeline? Fred Flair, what a name.
Even better because Flair is an offshoot of his dad's name, like his fake dad's name.
I know. And wasn't his adopted dad name something like Richard too? Or am I?
Yeah. Something like that. I think it was Richard Reed Flair because that's why he named Reed Reed.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Um, yeah. Oh, Fred Phillips.
Huh.
Fred Phillips is his shoot name.
I don't. I don't think that. I don't think that people are going to sell out the Greensboro Coliseum to see Fred Phillips.
From Memphis, Tennessee, weighing in at 242 pounds, Nature Boy Fred Phillips.
Oh, did you notice? I meant to bring it up on the podcast, and I think I just forgot. When Flair was on World Class last week, I think they announced him as from Minneapolis instead of from Charlotte. I've never heard that before.
I didn't notice. By the way, I like that you were going to mention this on the podcast, here on the podcast.
No, I was going. No, I was going to mention it on the on that show, and it just I spaced or we got away from it.
I was say, do I have to remind you this is being recorded?
No, I
Th-
knew what I was talking about. I'm not
This
as dumb as
podcast,
you think I'm dumb.
this podcast is being recorded for training and quality purposes.
You know that
So
this podcast ain't got nothing to do with no damn quality.
we keep the quality low, so this way we can jump over that bar.
Yeah.
Um, so we're in February of '84. My mother is 1 month pregnant with me, and this is the infamous War of '84. This is Vince is going around and convincing people to jump to him. And I gotta say, not that, we've never disagreed with Dave before, but I asked Dave because I'm curious about this because, in the War of '84, we're going to see a lot of people leaving this company over the next few months, including Junkyard Dog. And so I'm kind of curious, though, that first group of people that he brought in, that original December class of December 1983, Hogan, Piper, Dr. D, all them, what did he tell them to make them jump to him? Like, I imagine he gave them the plan that he's going to expand and take wrestling national, but I guess it's like, how could he really convince them kind of thing? Because yeah, he had cable, he had USA Network, but Georgia had, TBS, so they're just as nationwide as they are. And there's all these other cable TV stations that in theory are going to be interested in wrestling. You know, what I guess, you got to give Vince Jr. the credit for being able to convince these people because it's one thing like Junkyard Dog leaves in August. At this point in August, we know what Vince's plans are going to be. We know how Vince is expanding and all this fun, happy horseshit. But in December 1983, it's just some guy with a big mouse.
Okay,
And
I am sure that Vince told them something lovely and sold it really well, but like even going back to the 60s and 70s, New York was the most valuable and most prestigious territory in the country. If Vince Senior wanted somebody, he was going to get them. So that was the way it had always been. It was just the rate at which he was taking talent sped up greatly.
now now again, you got to take this with multiple grains of salt. But in Piper's first book, he talked about how there was a big meeting with all these guys that Vince allegedly told every single one of them that they were all going to be what ended up being the Hulk Hogan spot. And I do think, that's a lot of bullshit, but at the same time, it's like, did he really just pull everybody just by saying he's in New York and, that he's going to offer more money? It's I don't know. It's like to me, it's kind of weird that he's able to get okay, yeah, fine. He's in New York. Okay, fine. They're able to get the biggest names 'cause they're in the biggest media market. It just I don't know, you're getting all these wrestlers to leave their territories on little or no notice, burning a bridge, which in this day and age, and there's a lot of strong territories out there, it's not a smart idea to be burning bridges. But, he's convincing all these guys to do this on the hope that he's going to be successful.
Okay, I may actually have some insight into this. I'm trying to find something that I tweeted the other day because I just remembered about it. Here's the thing. Even back then, Vince was a fucking cult leader.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm gonna. Okay. A couple of weeks ago, Gerald Brisco tweeted. He's been tweeting a lot of stuff that he found in his shed, right? So
Yes,
he
I've been
tweeted.
following all that.
Yeah, he tweeted a photo of a letter from Vincent K. McMahon to all talent, dated January 4th, 1985. Would you like
Yep,
me to share this with the audience?
of course, because apparently not everybody listening is following Gerald Brisco on Twitter.
Well, why the fuck not? As was last
Uh,
year's custom, all wrestlers and managers that work under the WWF banner are required to sign contracts. Those of you who were with us last year have obviously suffered no ill effects of such signing. As has been the custom for 3 generations, this office has maintained an acute sense of fairness and integrity. Since all of you have had ample opportunity to review our standard contract, we must ask for immediate acceptance or rejection. Those of you rejecting the contract will be deemed to have given this office a 4 week notice of leaving. Those of you accepting the contract will undoubtedly live happily ever after, along with me in fairyland. Remember that today is just another day in paradise. Please return the signed contract signifying your acceptance or the unsigned contract signifying your rejection and notice to the appropriate agent tonight who will issue last week's paycheck. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, president. So yeah, even back now, he's a fucking creepy cult leader.
yep. So
Jesus.
yeah, some more of
Fairyland.
'84, and like the funny thing is, I mentioned we're going to see a lot of people leaving. We don't see as many people as you think leaving. Like, because we're talking about world class and mid South. As like when you think about like who actually leaves, like
Well, it,
Dog eventually leaves, but it's like,
Dog leaves, Volkov leaves, but it like well the other like fucking Darsow, Cornette in the Midnight, Magnum, like they all go to Crockett.
yeah, but that's just your standard. You're out of the territory. That's your standard territory thing. I'm thinking like you're not seeing a lot of people leaving these two territories to go to Vince. Like, the Freebirds went for like 1 week and they came back. You know, I guess they were trying to really sell that leaving Texas for a year stip. Um, but like it's not a very you know, I guess I don't fucking know at this point, but it's like, yeah, it's like we're gonna lose Junkyard Dog in 6 months. We're gonna lose Nikolai Volkov at some point. Honestly, I don't know when we lose Volkov. I think it'd be sometime soon.
They
Um,
so I really love because people have done like research into this and looked at the sales and the gate receipts during
mhm.
this expansion. Okay, except for I think maybe Florida, which Florida is weird because Florida, the further south you go, the farther north you get. But like WWF did not draw anywhere else in the South until Steve Austin, the Attitude Era. Like
Yeah,
anywhere, like Carolinas, Tennessee. I think they got Texas pretty quick because well, we're gonna go over what the fuck happens to Texas. But yeah, like anywhere, just about anywhere in the South with a strong wrestling tradition that was the wrestling that people like, they didn't like that shit. That fucking
hmm
like if if you've been watching fucking Mid South or Florida or Memphis, watch 80s WWF. Shit is so goddamn boring.
hmm By the way, Volkov's here until May. But yeah, it's like
Okay.
this. It's part of the reason why people did not think Vince was going to be able to do this was that, each territory had their own fan base and they had their own wrestling that they liked to watch. And it's like the Crockett people, Mid-Atlantic, like, again, like you said, they didn't draw for Vince until a generation later. Because it wasn't just Austin. Like, yeah, Austin had a big part of it, but it was that those 80s fans had now been aged out. And now we have an entire new generation of fans that haven't been going to wrestling since 1960. So it's like, and that's why I say, like, people, like, they laugh about AEW only doing this or only doing that, quote unquote, only doing this and only doing that. It's like, at the end of the day, it's very similar. You have an entire generation that pro wrestling is WWE. Like, in order for AEW to ever truly be a number one promotion, if they're ever meant to be, it's going to take an entire generation of people to grow up with AEW as that thing, or with WWE not being the only game in town, or the only big game in town.
And you're right, but here's the thing. Pepsi's never going to be bigger than Coke. Pepsi's always going to be number 2. But Pepsi's always going to have more than enough of the market share to stay healthy.
Yeah. But, the same way Coke didn't just give up market share, WWE's not going to give up market share. They worked too damn long and hard to get it. But, oh, Lord.
I think it's something that a lot of... I think it's something that a lot of people don't understand, especially like longtime wrestling fans. If you look historically, the fans that caused the current boom, they're always the new fans that have come along since the end of the last boom.
What the hell ever happened to Dr. Death Steve Williams?
He died of throat cancer.
I meant in 1984.
Oh, did he finish college? He graduated college in December, right? Was that, or does he have one more semester?
I don't know. Well, someone asked.
He may be finishing college.
So he actually may be trying out for the USFL, because around this time.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, he had his last TV match taped on January 4th, and his next TV match is taped on May 9th.
I actually got to see him live, not wrestle, but he lived in Shreveport late in his life. So when WWF would do their that loop, one time I went to a show and he was the referee, the guest referee for the U.S. title match between Chris Benoit and Booker T. So it was cool.
Nice. I have some very disturbing news. They do TV title matches on house shows. How do house shows determine who the best wrestler on television is?
I always hated that. I'm not going to say never do it. I don't make a habit of it.
By the way, now that we've been talking for 19 minutes, want to talk about Mid-South?
Yeah, we talked for 20 minutes before this, by the way, too.
Yeah. Oh, boy. And who would have thought we have trouble staying on topic? I think...
Us?
I don't know. I think we may have
a touch sound
of
like
ADHD. Ooh, a cute little bunny.
Oh, I definitely have all the ADHD.
So Fritz is still at David Weinreich's funeral. So let's go to Boyd and JR to talk about this week's show.
Wrestling fans, and welcome to Mid-South Wrestling Television Network. I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, and for the next 60 minutes, a lot of exciting action as we move into the 4th round of the Mid-South Television Tournament. This week's battle will see Jim the Anvil Neidhart in the ring against Hacksaw Butch Reed. Tag team action at its very best. In one team, you'll see the popular Rock and Roll Express. Also, you'll see the inimitable, controversial manager Jim Cornette here with the Midnight Express. The popular girl wrestlers are here, so it all adds up to lots of excitement, interviews, and interesting things. Cowboy Bill Watts is not here, but the man to give us the expert commentary is his associate from Bixby, Oklahoma, Jim Ross. Jim?
Well, Boyd, thanks very much. And, of course, we're excited about several things here on Mid-South. As you said, the 4th week of the television tournament. Also, the signing of a North American title bout. We'll get to that momentarily. But first, Margum TA has really taken this area by storm. We've We've seen where he has become the #1 contender for the Junkyard Dog's North American title, and we've shown this piece before, but we got such great response for it. Let's see it again. Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics and Margum TA.
Yeah, we don't need to see that. But yeah, today The Rock is going to be here and Roll Express. Boyd
Do we need to talk
unknowingly with a
about
slip of the tongue.
Rock and or Roll Express? Do we need to have another long conversation about X-Men? Since I still really like this music video.
That's nice. I mean, it's a fine music video. It's the Magnum TA model shoot. I wrote Terry Taylor's model shoot was better, and we find out later on the show, Terry Taylor's model shoot was better.
I'm sorry, and I'm like a mostly straight man, like maybe like a 1 on the Kinsey scale, or I don't remember. Is that low or high? Anyway,
I
don't
know.
I don't know. It popped me when they showed the motherfucker popping his pecs to the beat of the song. Like that was awesome.
It's good music video editing, is what we're saying.
It's very good. It's very good. Oh, between the fucking the Mid-South music videos and the fact that we're now starting to get the good ECW music videos on the Oh My God cast, it's a good time.
You're being spoiled by music videos.
I know, it's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah. So the popular girl wrestlers are going to be here this week. So I guess they finally got done fucking George Weingeroff halfway between Shreveport and Dallas.
Are you ever really done fucking George Weingeroff though? I bet if you fuck George Weingeroff, you stay fucked.
I bet, he probably thought he fucked 10 different women that night, but it was just, the same 2 women 5 times each.
Now, who do you think is a more giving and generous lover, George Weingeroff or Greg Valentine?
I'm gonna bet
Stupidest
George
fucking
Weingeroff.
podcast.
George Weingeroff's probably a better and more passionate lover than Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Well, it takes the Hammer 15 minutes to get going.
Yes. Which is why he couldn't be in the Attitude Era, because he'd have 7 matches to add out to 15 minutes.
This is the stupidest fucking podcast.
Are you sure we're the stupidest podcast?
I mean, no, because I know what's out there.
So we know that George Weingeroff has a massive penis.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Valentine, I'm going to call him the Hammer. Do you think that's the real reason why? Is he, packing downstairs?
I bet he's girthy. I bet it's not like long like George Weingeroff's, but I bet it's got a respectable girth to it.
That might be why it takes him 15 minutes to get warmed up, because you need to work at that.
Gotta get that fucking blood flowing. Yeah, we might be onto something here. I guarantee in no other Mid-South Wrestling review are the hosts speculating about Greg Valentine's sexual prowess. Greg Valentine, who isn't even on either of these shows, by the way.
Yes, Greg Valentine is not in this territory, and I'm pretty sure he's never in this territory. He's in Charlotte. If he's not in Charlotte, then he's with Vince right now. One of the two.
The one line from the old WrestleCrap radio that for whatever reason always stuck with me was the time RD just goes, "Speaking of Greg Gagne masturbating."
Speaking of Greg Gagne masturbating.
What are we at? This fucking Junkyard Dog segment?
Yes. So normally on this show, we like to play entire clips of talking segments. This goes 9 fucking minutes. We have a contract. Go ahead.
There's a lot to unpack in this segment, but I'm going to let you recap it first.
So we have a contract signing for an upcoming North American title match between Junkyard Dog and Margum TA. So Dog is there, Margum TA is there. Mr. Wrestling 2 is forced to stand because his seat is being used by Grizzly Smith. This might explain why Mr. Wrestling 2 is in such a pissy mood, because, Grizzly Smith made him stand.
Taking Mr. Wrestling 2's chair has got to be the worst thing that Grizzly Smith has ever done.
Yes. So the best part was, by the way, and who would have thought this was not the worst promo we'd hear on this show today, or these shows, but Grizzly Smith cuts a promo about how they don't have a date and time yet for the title match, but they still want them to sign the contract.
How can you sign a contract for a match that doesn't have a date or venue? Is it like a letter of intent? And if it's just a letter of intent, why are they doing a fucking contract signing on TV?
Yeah. And, so all this means is now Grizzly Smith can just pick a date and time, and let's say it's a date and time that doesn't work for one of the two guys. Well, it's like, well, you signed it. You can't back out on it because you signed a contract. And it's funny because Stevie Richards has told the story on his show that in '97, right around the time of Barely Legal, Paul Heyman tried to get him to sign a contract for blank number of years for blank amount of money. And Paul's like, oh, just sign it. We'll fill it in later. And he's like, Paul, there's nothing on here. And, that's one of the reasons why he went to WCW, and he thinks is the reason Paul Heyman hates him to this day. Because he refused to sign the contract for blank number of years and blank amount of money.
I don't blame Stevie for that one.
So I didn't put down an exact time, so I've just kind of fast forwarded a little bit through TA and Dog signing the contracts. They both talked for a little bit. But I'm going to go to this promo here. It's going to be about 6 minutes long from where I'm going to press play. And the key is Mr. Wrestling 2 is going to talk. And yes, we're going to skip Margum TA and Junkyard Dog talking so we can hear Mr. Wrestling 2. But believe it or not, for once, there's a reason why we'd rather listen to Mr. Wrestling 2.
This is what matters.
Let's go to that right now.
He is also here with us today. And, of course, last week, many of the wrestling fans saw some footage from the lakefront of New Orleans. You made some comments there. Have you changed your opinion any from the way that you were, the way we saw last week?
No. I haven't changed a thing one way or the other. And I'll tell you why. First of all, Junkyard Dog, you're sitting over there with a grin from ear to ear because you know that you can beat this man. I can beat this man. But if you had to wrestle a man like King Kong Bundy, Hacksaw Butch Reed, Darsow, or the Russian himself, then you could go on TV and tell everybody how you got cheated. You see?
What you're saying, wait a minute, let's clarify this situation. You are obviously unhappy with this signing. The Junkyard Dog is a great champion. Well, you ought to have some feelings, some positive feelings.
Junkyard Dog knows that I can beat him.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now, you stepping a little bit too high of grounds, too, and you begin to bend the nails a little bit too far. So I'm just going to step away and let you dream on.
Well, let me tell you something right now, Dog. I'll make it even more interesting for you. If I get a match with you, I'll put a challenge to you. And if I wrestle you for that title, just to make it very interesting, I'll put my mask up. And if I don't beat you, I'll take the mask off and leave Mid-South.
I'll tell you what I do. Hold it.
You see, if I beat you, you won't have any excuses to go crying on the TV about you got cheated.
Wait just a minute.
Hold it. To kill up all this mess. Now, Margum TA is the man #1 contender. But I'll go out of my way, too, just to verify this thing. I'll get on the plane and spend my own money. I'll fly to Tampa along with Grizzly Smith, and I'll talk to Charlie Laye and give you your opportunity.
And you're a liar.
Wait a minute. Let's get let's get back to the issue. Let's get back to the reason that we were here. Wait just a moment. Let's get back to the reason that we were here. You took this man.
Yes, I took this man. This man right here. I made him the man that he is today. When I came in here, this man, he had a chance at the title, but because he was so stupid and ignorant and a punk that he was, I took him from down here, brought him up, made him the man that he is today, put guts in his body, gave him some intestinal fortitude, gave him a clear mind to think clearly and to do the right things. I did that. I am the coach. I should have that opportunity first.
All right, those points are well taken.
I'll tell you something right now, Coach. I owe you everything. You brought me with where I am today. But if I hadn't had something inside me to begin with, you wouldn't have had anything to work with. Well, what I got to tell you right now is about thinking clear. And I don't think you are thinking real clear. As a matter of fact, I think you're making a real ass of yourself.
You don't talk to me that way. You understand that? You don't talk to me that way. I'm your coach, and don't you ever forget it. No one talks to me like that. And as far as you are concerned, dog, you've already showed me. This man here, you turn around and listen to me when I'm talking to you, boy. You showed me already that you have no loyalty at all to wrestling, too. You got that? And as far as you're concerned, dog, you showed me what kind of a champion you are.
All right. Hey, look here.
Let's get a little bit of control.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Out of all the things that I was seeing, Jesus Christ.
All right, let's try to get a little bit of Magnum. This is a very, very, very touchy situation. All right, very touchy situation.
Of all the things that I've ever been through in this world, hard as I was work coming up from nothing, trying to do something, this man did the same thing. But I'm gonna tell you something, man. Friends will be friends. But there ain't no man on this earth, no matter how he builds somebody, or how he work with somebody, you're not made for nobody to slap and step on, or you gonna take that kind of mess, or what are you gonna do?
I'm going to tell you something right now, Doug. I'm going to tell everybody out there in the studio audience, everybody watching this, you just saw the only man walking the face of the earth that could slap me this time and walk away from it, because he did give me something. He did make me what I am today. But all this is not worth this, what it's doing to all our friendship. I can't take it.
Well, Grizzly, we've had this started out as a signing. We've had some very unusual things.
Jim, the only thing I can do is I'm going to have to go to Tampa and have a meeting with the board of directors and Charlie Laye, and well, we'll just have to announce the outcome of that at a later date.
Wrestling fans, you saw Margum TA tear up the contract. We'll try to keep you updated as to the progress of this situation. And now let's return to the network for more Mid-South messages.
Okay. So Mr. Wrestling 2 is just a little pissed off.
Mr. Wrestling 2 is a dick. We say that every week.
Yeah.
He had to have been the worst person in this ring right now, right?
I guess in storyline, he's the worst person in the ring at the very least.
I was like, when I messaged you last night that I had a pretty good takeoff of the Grizzly Smith is the worst thing that Grizzly Smith has ever done. That was it. So
yeah.
sorry,
Oh yeah. I had the same thing written. That taking 2 seat was the worst thing he ever did this week. By the way, at some point, and I don't know if it was in this part, I don't think it was because I was busy filling up my iced tea cup, but Dog mentioned that this will be a downtown situation. I don't know what that means.
Oh, that means they're gonna have to go to the fucking downtown municipal auditorium in New Orleans. That sucks.
Oh shit! Damn, yeah. I guess. I mean, we don't know where this damn match is gonna be. So, well, I guess we're not gonna have a match anymore. But I laughed because Mr. Wrestling 2, who is an older person, and I'll tell you what, Mr. Wrestling 2 is playing an angry old man really fucking well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And he's like, Junkyard Dog, you. It's like, well, at least he knows which one is the Junkyard Dog. Now, let me see how you saw it. The way to me, because two started mentioning all the heels that are in and out of the territory and mentions people who haven't been here in a year, like Bundy. But the way he said it made me like I thought he was trying to say that Dog couldn't beat any of them. And so that's why he's wrestling TA because TA is the only guy that he could beat.
Yeah, I
Or was
didn't.
he or maybe was he saying that you've beaten all these guys because Dog has. I didn't write them all down, but I'm pretty damn sure he's beaten all of them. He's beaten all these guys, but instead of going against somebody that he can't beat, he takes the easy way route by going to TA. Either way, he didn't do a very good job of explaining it, but he does challenge Dog to a title versus mask match where he's also putting up his career. And Junkyard Dog accepts the challenge, and so Mr. Wrestling 2 calls him a liar about it. Like, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
that was weird.
TA tries to stand up to his coach and gets slapped down for it. And TA's like, I don't know if he was actually crying, but like he definitely gave the impression of somebody who was crying in the ring about this. And he rips up the contract because it's not worth losing this friendship. Because he's a good guy. He's a babyface, Magnum TA, and a babyface isn't going to let a singles title match stand between him and his friend. Um, and then so I'm like I like this. Like I know Mr. Wrestling 2. It's like especially in 1984. Like let's move on with our fucking lives and move on from Mr. Wrestling 2. But I'm enjoying this little angle we got going here. I will
Yeah,
say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
and I mean this whole angle is kind of like two's last hurrah.
Yeah, like I mean, look, see how much longer he's got, but I don't think he makes it to the end of the year, to be honest. And by that I mean like not
Yeah,
living, I mean like wrestling. I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah.
he's, you know.
So yesterday, one of my Twitter mutuals, I noticed that they mentioned they were bookmarking a Magnum TA promo because they were writing, I guess, for a college class. They're writing a paper about. To my understanding, it was the concept of a baby face, and I think I need to find who that was and send them this segment because I thought that TA came off really well because you're right. Like there is you can see that he's emotional, but and forgive the phrasing, he's emotional, but he's trying to quote unquote be a man about it.
Mhm.
And it just like you know, like it kind of like you go, well, why would somebody just let them slap them like that? Like, well, he said it. Like that's the only person that could do that, and it's only because he's who he is and what he's done for me. But motherfucker, that's only gonna be it's only one time. I I don't know. I guess I was a little confused, not confused, but I was like, TA didn't have to tear up his contract. He's still entitled to a title shot. But other than that, I thought that two is doing very good work here as a dickhead, and I thought that Magnum came off really well here as a babyface.
So his last televised match that we're gonna see him in is in June. And I can't say this for sure, but just judging on the match results at the end, I think they turn him back babyface at the very end.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah. Which, mind you, again, is not very long from now because we're currently in, well, February
Well,
still. We're almost in March and he's done in June.
we're gonna talk more about this in a minute, but stuff's about to pick up. Business is about to pick up in a big way here in the next few weeks.
Yes. So I do want to note something, and for forgive me for actually listening to something Grizzly Smith said, but Grizzly said that he's going to have a meeting with Charlie Laye. Now, I know that I Charlie Laye is the Jack Tunney of Mid-South. Until a couple months ago, when Bill Watts came out and said that he was the president, Charlie Laye has always been the president of Mid-South Wrestling, and he's the guy you got to go to, you know, book everything, and he puts everything in place, yada 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 yada. I don't even know who the hell Charlie Laye is, but Charlie Laye is the president of Mid-South Sports until a few months ago when Bill Watts just flat out said it was him. So, if Bill Watts is now the president of Mid-South Sports on TV, why are we still going to Charlie Laye for any decisions? What is Charlie Laye's position in the company? Not that it really matters, but still.
But maybe, and forgive me for ruining your dinner and making this reference, but is it a is it
Son
a
of a
Trump
bitch.
and is it a Trump and Elon Musk situation where like Charlie Day is quote unquote the president, but Bill Watts is really the president?
Well, the, I mean, that's what it is in reality, but like I said, until like December, Bill Watts was just the friendly announcer who just happened to be in the area every other week to do commentary. You know, Charlie Laye is the fictitious president, the guy we never see on TV, because he's the president. Grizzly Smith is the matchmaker, and Bill Watts is just the colored commentator who stops by when he's in town because the fans all love it when he does commentary. Now, for
I
what it's worth, there
I'm sorry,
is
go
a
ahead.
former pro wrestler from the 60s named Charlie Laye. I don't know if that's supposed to be the same guy or not, but it's possible, I guess.
Was he prominent in this area? Can you tell?
Um, Arkansas, Texas,
Okay, yeah,
Florida,
same, yeah,
Mississippi. Yeah, it's
same, yeah.
probably this guy.
So yeah, probably. I again, I can't say that this is the best Mid South Review podcast, even though it's better than Brian and Vinny's. But I will say that it is the only Mid South Review podcast that compares Bill Watts to Elon Musk.
Although I thought he would be the Donald Trump in this
No,
because
no,
he's the real he's
Charlie Laye is the Donald Trump because he's quote unquote officially the president.
but Bill Watts has come on TV and said he was the president.
It Give it to the end of next week. Elon Musk will be on TV saying he's really the president.
Please, please. But yeah, we're the only people on the planet, no matter who we're comparing them to. We're the only podcast on the planet comparing Bill Watts and Charlie Laye to Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
By the way, speaking of Elon Musk, I want to read a tweet that I wrote at earlier today. I hate that the
I,
stupid website now shows me posts from people who have blocked me. Now I have to be constantly reminded that dumb whiny bitches exist because an apartheid-loving twit who was born with a blood diamond encrusted silver spoon in his mouth is an insecure narcissist. So fuck you,
so
Elon
somebody,
Musk.
so somebody blocked you, but you can see their tweets now.
Yeah, that's been a thing ever since dipshit started fucking stuff up on Twitter. That like you can still see each other's stuff if you're blocked. You just can't interact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I gotta go see if I can see the Young Bucks tweets now. Actually, this is a different Twitter account, so never mind. I've been blocked by my old Twitter account was blocked by the Young Bucks, Hulk Hogan, Josh Matthews. I think Stevie Richards actually blocked me at one point, and he was the one that I could not figure out why R-Truth blocked me at one point. Like, and like Stevie was the one I could not figure out why he blocked me. 'Cause at least the Young Bucks, I called them the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked. So that's understandable. But I only did that, to be honest. I only did that because I saw somebody post that the Young Bucks will go through and search for their names on Twitter to see if anyone says anything mean about them and block them, even if you don't tag them. So I decided to test that theory, and I called them the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked. And sure
And
enough,
it worked.
they hunted me down and blocked me.
I never could figure out why on my old Twitter account, Nick Aldis had blocked me. Like, I don't think I ever tweeted about, because I didn't have Twitter in like 2008 when he was early in TNA and really the drizzling shits. So I don't know if he just saw a tweet of me saying that his wife was hot, because everybody knows Trey likes Mickey, always has.
You son of a bitch! How dare you think Mickie James is hot?
She's a very beautiful woman.
Yes. Hulk Hogan blocked me when. Do you remember in 2018 when pretty sure this was the first time he was on after the racist stuff came out, that they brought him back and they were going to do like an 8 or 10-man tag in Saudi Arabia with Team Flair versus Team Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
I posted something to the effect of, is it really a smart idea to send Hulk Hogan to Saudi Arabia? And he blocked me.
Did that happen? Did that end up happening?
Yeah, it did. I'm pretty sure it did. I just remember because the joke was TNA had done that match in 2010, Team Flair versus Team Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
Now, yeah. Oh, again, only Mid-South Wrestling podcast in history that somehow segues Donald Trump and Elon Musk to Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we're the only podcast, period, not just the only Mid-South podcast. In fact, I guarantee, because the only other Mid-South podcast I know is the one that Brian Last and Mike Mills did, that was the inspiration for me to do this one. That since they, at no point, I'm pretty sure that they ever mentioned Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
I'm just going to start saying that we're the best Mid-South review podcast, because, I mean...
We at the very least were the longest lasting one, because they stopped in December of '83 and Brian and Vinny started in January of '84. And they had the audacity. Sorry, go ahead.
If we have to, we will settle this in the Superdome. Trae and Arya with Jim Cornette against Brian and Vinny with Skandor Akbar.
I'll be honest, as much as I like to be managed by Jim Cornette, I would also like to be managed by Ak. Although he's dead, but, that would give us the advantage, I
mean, he wouldn't be a distraction. He wouldn't have that good... Hey, Cornette's got that tennis racket, though, and that comes in handy. Don't you want to bash Brian in the face with a tennis racket?
Anytime he gets his facts wrong.
I may have some misplaced anger. I love you, Brian.
Not opinions. Love you, Brian. Love you, Vinny. It drives me fucking crazy when they get historical facts wrong.
I know.
I don't care. I don't care if they're going to go on the show and say that AEW is the greatest show of all time. Whatever. That's your opinion. But when you go on and start spouting facts that aren't true, that's when it drives me crazy.
For many years, was a religious listener of Brian and Vinny and Figure 4 Daily and the Wrestling Observer. And then I went through my mental health breakdown a couple of years ago, and I stopped listening to podcasts for 6 months to a year because my brain was so fried that I just could not handle any more input. And then so when I tried to go back to the podcast, I guess the way that the existence of AEW has just rotted everybody's brain had gotten to Brian so much by then that anytime I tried to listen to the podcast, I would just be in the car yelling at the radio.
Alrighty.
Speaking of being managed by Jim Cornette.
Speaking of being managed by Jim Cornette, now that we're doing Brian and Vinny references, WrestleCrap Radio references, and I don't know, is there a way to slip in a Jim Cornette and Brian Last, impression?
I'll finish the show with a thank you, fuck you, bye.
Thank you for Cuba, everybody. So, speaking of Jim Cornette, let's go to his intro of the Midnight Express before their match against Joseph Oldie and George Weingeroff's penis.
Give me that microphone, Reese. There are about a couple of things going on here I can't let pass without comment.
First of all, that heartwarming little scene a couple of minutes ago, Wrestler 2, I got to give him some credit. He proved my point. Margum TA is a chicken and a coward, because if that man had done that to me, slapped me in the face, I'd have broken every bone in his body. And you know what else that proved? Get out of my way, Reeser. You know what else that proved? That proved that Mid-South coddles its champions, babies them, lets them stand here and bicker like school kids instead of proving it in the ring. And I noticed one more thing. The mouth of Mid-South Cowboy Bill Watts is nowhere around today. He's conspicuous in his absence. I'm sure he'd have a few words to say in defense of his buddies here. But I'm sure it must be nice for you people at home to have some unbiased, clear, candid comments for once. And I know what else it'll be nice for you to have. The world's greatest tag team, the deadliest fighting force in professional wrestling, Loverboy Dennis and beautiful Bobby the Midnight Express.
Oh shit, just blah blah blah. Man, I was not paying attention to that, was I?
Okay. Do you think they already knew?
Did I lose you for a second? Did you think they already knew what?
No, dude, that was interesting. Do you think they already knew the angle that they're going to do in about 3 weeks?
At this point, I'm sure they have to. Because like they've been talking about Watts now for a few weeks.
Yeah. It's just, it was so perfect. This was either the, I'm just gonna assume, and we give Corny a lot of credit for his virtues. I'm just gonna assume that this was some fucking amazing intentional foreshadowing.
Possibly. I mean, I like to point out that like wrestling is so black and white. Like Mr. Wrestling 2 is turning heel, and so Jim Cornette, while not out now complimenting him, doesn't give him shit, but does give TA shit, does give Watts shit. It makes me think like, was the match originally going to be Bill Watts and TA?
I don't think so, because I think they knew they were gonna, the programs that they were gonna do were the Last Stampede and TA and 2, I assume.
I do kind of wonder, because like, here's the thing. They announced this next week, and I'm kind of jumping ahead a week, but the Superdome show is April 7th. It is February 25th. I had to look at a calendar for a second. It is February 25th. The Superdome show is April 7th, and they don't shoot this angle, like you said. I don't think they shoot it for 3 weeks.
Yeah, looking at the, I was looking ahead at the episode list, and it looks like the angle is 3 weeks after the show.
So what, the 18th?
Sure. I don't.
Okay. Well, let's 11th or 18th. Let's say it's the 11th or the 18th. Either way, imagine that today, that they announce WrestleMania is April 19th and 20th. And I know there's a Royal Rumble, and so you really couldn't really do this per se, but WrestleMania is April 20th. WrestleMania tickets are going to go on sale mid-March, next month at some point. And they shoot the angle for the main event of WrestleMania on like the March 31st episode of Raw.
That's like peak Russo TNA shit.
Well, Jesus Christ, I think we can give them a little bit more credit than this. But like, this also just says the difference between 1984 and 2025. Because also Bill Watts is not coming out here on TV doing an angle with Jim Cornette and then announcing that I'm not going to have a match at all. He wouldn't waste his fucking time.
You said the Superdome is April 7th.
I think that's what they say next week. It's something like It's like the first week in April.
Okay. Well, if it's April 7th, I really wanted to say that was X years to the day from one of the WrestleManias in the Superdome, but guess what?
It's not
WrestleMania 30 was April 6th, and WrestleMania 34 was April 8th.
Yeah. Let's see. Talk about this wonderful match while I look something up.
Okay, so it was the Midnight Express against Joe Savoldi and George Weingeroff. Uh, Midnights are such a joy to watch. So damn good. Uh, Bobby Dennis pinned Savoldi after the that thing that's almost like a where Bobby hands him up to Dennis and Dennis Dimner does a jackhammer. That move that they've been doing. That was the finish. Great. Like these midnight squashes are really high end for like enhancement matches. But I just gotta say, Jim Ross, I love you. I think that you're the best. You are not a good enough announcer to convince me that of Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton, Bobby is the crazy one.
Yes! Yes! I wrote that down too. Like, wait, Dennis Condrey is the level-headed one, and Bob Eaton is the crazy one?
Do not believe that in the slightest.
No. No! By the way, Bill Dundee, who we never actually see on TV, he is wrestling on that Superdome show.
Oh.
He and Porkchop Cash are going to be in a tag team match.
Oh,
And I don't want to
what
say
a
anything
team.
more. Yeah, I don't want to say anything more because it gives away spoilers. But among the matches on the Superdome Last Stampede show, John King versus Joe Savoldi, Tom Zank versus Jerry Gray, and Buddy Landell versus Lanny Poffo.
Porkchop Cash is a fucking top tier wrestling name, by the way.
Him and Iceman Parsons have like a Hall of Fame name team.
You know what matchup would sell out Madison Square Garden? Porkchop Cash versus the One Man Gang.
Why is that?
Because they're the greatest names. I just like
Oh,
the
okay,
names.
I was like thinking of like some backstory or like inside
No,
wrestling story. I'm like,
no, it's just I think that those are both great wrestler names. That and
well,
apparently he was the shits in the ring, but Thunderbolt Patterson.
he was the shits everywhere. He was the shits on the mic. He was shits in the ring.
Yeah,
By the way,
in my 1993 WCW, he's been managing Ice Train, and I think that's done now. He was
oh
there for like 2
God,
weeks. It was
oh
bad.
God, I don't know, I don't know what would have been better, him managing Ice Train or Ice Train managing him.
Ah, I guess we'll never know.
You could not have found a worse two people to put together. There's
Uh,
no good.
actually, it'd be perfect. Make him a 3-man team. Add Mr. Hughes.
At least Mr. Hughes could stand there. You know, no one is going to ask Mr. Hughes to cut a promo pretty much ever.
Okay, okay. And for those of you who have already listened to the Oh My God cast that dropped today, you know what I'm about to say. That I have been very harsh on Mr. Hughes, and I have said such things as while I have reevaluated many wrestlers, I thought he still sucked and was pretty useless, but I have to apologize because the last 3 weeks he has been on Eastern Championship Wrestling, and he's done some fucking incredible nonsensical rambling promos.
Okay. Um, Nikolai
I mean,
Volkov versus.
it really is the
Sorry, go
best
ahead.
stuff I've ever seen. It really is the best stuff I've ever seen Mr. Hughes do. Anyway, Nikolai Volkov and Steve Brinson.
We are now 1 hour into the podcast. Nikolai Volkov defeats Steve Brinson with the world's strongest backbreaker. Do you have anything else to say?
Nope. 51 seconds.
Okay. P. Victoria and El Poffo versus W. Richter and B. Landell in a very interesting type of match. Um, we talk about War of '84. It's February 25th. In 5 months, Wendy Richter defeats Fabulous Moolah on MTV to win the WWF Women's title with Cyndi Lauper in her corner. Just in case you need to know what's going on at this time.
It's really funny. It's really funny that you say that because I have a very similar note that I'm going to make during the world class review.
By the way, I'm not. I for some reason during the Up Next thing, and this kind of bugged me, they put Princess Victoria and Wendy Richter as P Victoria and W Richter. And much like how it bugs me when World Class says Hayes and Gordy versus Carrie and Kevin, I just I had to be nitpicky here. And if we're gonna first initial last name people, do it across the damn board.
You
But
just want consistency, damn it, right?
exactly. So the blonde from Los Angeles poked the black-haired guy from Lexington in the eye. Richter, who they went back and forth when calling Richter and Richter, threw Victoria in the corner. Oh, I love this. And this is one of those times where I fucking love Buddy Landel. So Buddy Landel is standing on the apron, minding his own business, has a good heel, and he just kind of turns his back with his elbow poking out. And so when Richter throws Victoria into the corner, Victoria, oh my God, what an accident, takes an elbow to the face by Buddy Landel, who just happened to be sticking his elbow out.
It's what it was. These matches are what they always were. It's fine. Like, this is that period in American wrestling where the quote unquote girl wrestlers are an added attraction on the card, like the midgets, right? Yeah. But I thought the finish was excellent. And I assumed that was Buddy's idea.
Landel punching Victoria behind the referee's back and Richter pinning her with a splash. I'd like to point out, Lanny Poffo, who was getting a push in November, can't even win the mixed tag match. The gimmick mixed tag match where the babyface always goes over, Lanny Poffo can't win this match either.
You think that Princess Victoria found out if the rumors about Lanny were true?
About his massive penis?
The Weingeroff-esque rumors?
I mean, after spending a week with Weingeroff, she may not have been that impressed by it. I don't know.
Okay, and for clarity's sake, because we are professionals on this podcast and we don't fuck around with facts.
Oh yes.
I have never actually heard anyone say that Lanny Poffo had a large penis. I just heard people say that he could suck his own penis, which leads me to assume that I don't think he's so flexible that it's not.
Yeah, Ole Anderson accused Lanny Poffo of being able to suck his own dick.
Yeah.
I that's like one of those things how do you even respond to Ole when he says that? Like, okay, Ole.
I mean, I don't know. Like, doesn't it just sound like a thing that would probably be true?
I mean, he is a very flexible person. I mean, if there was any wrestler who could suck their own dick, I imagine it would probably be him. But you have to have a decent sized penis. Like, you don't have a 4-inch penis and be able to suck your own dick no matter how bendable you are.
I'm not saying how big my penis is, but I've got a much larger than 4-inch gut that I can't get around.
I shouldn't bother asking this, but have you tried to suck your own dick, Trae?
I am really not very flexible, and I would just be disappointed if I tried. I don't know. I have heard from people who have that ability that it feels a lot less like you're getting your dick sucked and a lot more like you're sucking a dick.
Really, we're somehow like I've noticed the YouTube listens are it's not huge, but they're ticking upwards slightly on a week-to-week basis. At this point, I question why.
Because people will watch a train wreck.
This is train wreck podcasting, no doubt.
Oh, should we talk about the Mid-South Television Championship tournament for a medal and $10,000?
Before we get there, do you know when do you think was the last time Lanny Poffo won a match on TV? It's currently February 25th.
Before Thanksgiving.
Okay, it was more recent than that. December 21st, he teamed with Rick Rude to defeat Doug Vines and Tom Lintz, who played a little football.
See, I almost said December, but I thought I'd be a little more ambitious.
So then we got Butch Reed versus Jim Neidhart in the 4th round of the television tournament for a medal and $10,000. We come back from commercial with Reed attacking Neidhart from behind, and the match starting with Reeser scurrying from the ring, because Reeser is no drunk Mark Lawrence. We're informed that Neidhart laid big hams on the noggin, which I think was to mean that he gave Butch Reed forearms to the head. I had to laugh because I didn't write who said this, but it sounds like a Boydism. That they have plenty of time every week for their TV title tournament. Keep in mind, before we got to this match, we had a 13-minute talking segment to start the show, followed by 3 matches. So these guys are not getting plenty of time.
Yeah.
So,
No, well.
So, by the way, this match is we're spamming up finishers in 1984 version. Because both men, like, neither kicked out of the other's finisher, but both got their foot on the ropes. Yeah. In 1984, that's kicking out of the other guy's finish. But I'll say this. JR was really fucking into this match, and it was an all right match. It wasn't a 3-star match. I wouldn't, if it was on Smoky Mountain, it wouldn't be our quarterly 3-star match, but it was a fine match.
Well, shit.
And I love
it. Butch and Neidhart both played a little football, so JR got to be a big fan.
Oh yeah. And hey, Jim Neidhart was on the Raiders, so he must really like Neidhart.
Yeah.
I really like this finish, and it's mostly because I liked how Butch Reed threw the knockout punch. Reed puts on brass knucks and goes under the beard to the chin. And Neidhart, I think it's a case he didn't know how to sell it with facial expressions, but he had the perfect facial expression.
He did.
Yeah.
He sold it like he just got hit in the throat with a fucking gimmick, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah. And he got knocked the fuck out for the win.
Yeah, I did rather like this finish.
Now, I do have some bad news for you, Trey. This is a kind of loser leaves town match for Neidhart. This is his last Shreveport match, but we're going to see him next week at the very least, because they're going to air a tape of a match next week. But he's going to be here.
I know that we joked that we're going to be saying this about a lot of people this year, but he's going to be in the Fed soon, isn't he?
Oh yeah. But I don't think it's still the beginning of 85 though, because from here he's going to Japan for a week, and then he's going to Memphis of all places.
Yeah, I thought Brett started in 84, and I just assumed that Neidhart started at the same time.
It's like
I'm gonna consult the cage match here.
Like, it may be the very end of 84 that he goes in, but I mean, whatchamacallit, WWF buys Stampede in August, and it gets theoretical jobs for Brett, Neidhart, Davey Boy, and Dynamite, and the only one that takes up the offer is Brett. I mean, Dynamite and Davey do a TV taping, and I think that's it. And then Neidhart comes in at either the end of 84 or beginning of 85.
Neidhart's first WWF match, January 21st, 1985.
Okay, great. Because I know it's after WrestleMania that they put them together as the Hart Foundation. It was like the last good thing George Scott does.
Yeah.
By the way, with this win, Butch Reed will advance now to the 8th round of the tournament for a medal and $10,000. And he will face the winner of whoever the first match of the next round is, the 7th round match, the 6th round match. Because what happened, oh my God, this fucking tournament's driving me crazy. So Junkyard Dog won last week, and then whoever won the first 2 weeks are going to be the first match of the 2nd round. And the winner of that match is going to face Butch Reed in the 3rd round, and that goes to the finals. Now, Junkyard Dog is going to face the winner of next week's match in the 2nd round, and upon winning that, and whoever wins that match moves on to the finals. So the people who wrestled the first 2 weeks have an extra match in there, which is completely unfair to them. But again, was 8, 12, or 16 too hard of a tournament to put together?
Surely you're not implying that this tournament doesn't make any goddamn sense.
I'm not going to say that because, I would never disparage the television tournament for a medal and $10,000.
And I won't call you Shirley.
Rock and Roll Express versus Jerry Gray and Tom Lintz, who play a little football. Carl Fergie is the referee yet again, because I think he's been the referee of almost every match this week, which there's something about these territories only having one referee on their shows this week. We'll get to that in World Class. Gibson pins Gray with the double drop kick. Lintz didn't even try to break it up.
I have a problem.
Okay.
The Rock and Roll have been here. This is the 2nd time? Well, they haven't had a promo. I don't yet know if they are here to stay and or here to play.
I hope we find out at some point, because
we better.
Yeah, it's not the same if we don't know if they're here to stay or here to play.
Exactly.
All right. Krusher Darsow versus the perpetual Alabama junior heavyweight champion Mike Jackson. The match starts and suddenly the crowd gets really excited, and I'm like, they are way too happy to watch Krusher Darsow versus Mike Jackson. And there's a reason.
Pop was so loud. The pop was so loud I thought that Dog had walked out.
And hey, it's a good thing Dog's leaving, I guess, because we're getting some baby faces trying to usurp his territory. But let's press play, and apparently I only put down 21 seconds of this. Let's press play and see where 21 seconds takes us.
Terry Taylor is here.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I tell you what, every time...
We want to get the camera over here on Terry Taylor.
Every time I step in the ring, this Darsow comes on me or Volkov. Well, he wants to be a member of the Red Army. He wants to be a Pinko commie. Well, we're going to take care of it right now. Let's go, guys. Come on.
Well, Terry Taylor, he was here. Terry.
All right, that explains things. I really suck at taking notes, apparently, sometimes. Because I'm like, I just wrote a timestamp, and I'm like, okay, that seems a little too short for the angle. And sure enough, it is too short for the angle. It's just Terry Taylor talking at the desk. Because, yeah, Terry Taylor and the Rock and Roll Express are at the announce desk with a bucket of paint. And they jump in the ring, and because Mike Jackson can't do a job, I guess, they jump in the ring and attack Darsow for the disqualification. And then Gibson, Morton, and Mike Jackson hold Krusher Darsow down, and Terry Taylor paints him pink.
Yes.
We're told he paints him red, but he does not paint him red.
This was not lightish red. This was pink.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't mix the paint well enough. Maybe that was the case. But
no, this was the color of fucking Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, I'm trying to give them a credit here, but yeah, they held him down. They got a paintbrush and they painted him pink. And Darsow's probably like, man, I can't wait to be out of this territory.
Yeah, I would feel unwelcome after this. It's good. I don't know. I thought this was a good segment. It was it's fun to see the baby faces get one over on these fucking assholes.
It was great, and like it also like it now gives the Rock and Roll Express something too, because we don't know anything about them. We know there's like 3 teams in the territory right now, and 2 of them are kind of feuding with each other. So they got to do something. So yeah, sure, they can feud with the Russians along with Terry Taylor, because everyone's got to feud with 2 people on this show. And this is one of their 2 acts, I guess, they're going to feud with.
Yeah, why not? That's where are we at? So yeah, cool angle, and then they re-aired the Terry Taylor photo shoot to the Jay Giles band.
Yep. And then the show ends with a Terry Taylor promo where he says he's going to fight back with pink paint, apparently.
And I was so upset because Ricky spoke.
Ricky didn't get to talk. Yeah.
Ricky spoke. God damn it, Punky! You had one job. Are you here to stay or here to play? Inquiring minds want to know.
He didn't tell us.
Very disappointing.
Yeah. By the way, this isn't really a spoiler for next week. I mean, it is, but it isn't. This is it for Krusher Darsow.
Oh, is it? Okay, well that makes sense. He's going to Crockett now, right?
No.
Oh, where's he going?
I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to ask you not to look up any spoilers. But this is the end of Krusher Darsow.
Oh, okay. Okay. I know. Okay.
I think you figured it out.
I did.
Do you want to tell the people in case you're wrong?
He changes his name to Crusher Khrushchev.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And he's actually here till the end of August. So
nice.
Yep. And this is weird. He teams with Ernie Ladd. Like,
what a team!
Yeah, not only is Ernie Ladd coming back, apparently Ernie Ladd's coming back as a heel. Okay, I guess that's something. And actually, from here, he's going to go to Florida for a little bit before going to Charlotte.
Okay, when does the Rock and Roll? The Rock and Roll don't go to Charlotte until like summer of '85, right?
Something like that, yeah, I think. Let's see. Richard Morton.
Because they beat the Russians for the tag belts on their first night, but I don't know if the Russians is Ivan and Nikita or Nikita and Khrushchev or.
How you say? Ashota. Ashota.
Sure, yeah.
Sorry, I broke into my Nikita impression, and Nikita's not even here.
Darn.
Yeah, so they go to Charlotte, July of '85.
Yeah.
So technically, I mean, I don't know what actually airs in what order, but technically their first match is against Chuck Levins and Larry Clark. No, the all-time great team of Chuck Levins and Larry Clark. And then their second match is against the Russians.
Were they at the same? It doesn't matter. Move on. We don't need to be talking about Crockett. I guess we got to talk about this fucking world class show.
At some point, we probably should. We're an hour and 20 minutes into this show here. You ever notice we always do this? The Mid-South
I mean, since
show,
we're here,
take over
since
an
we
hour.
went through the trouble of coming.
Since we went through the trouble of watching the show, we might as well talk about it.
Yeah.
So David Von Erich is dead, as we've mentioned now a couple times. And this is not yet the David Von Erich Memorial Show. We are milking this death, which I guess...
Milking it.
I know that this is like... It's 2025, and if somebody died today, we'd have a tribute show tomorrow for them, which is kind of fucked up in its own way. But it's like, it's not even the first taped show after his death that we're doing the tribute show. We're doing the tribute show next week. But let's go to the intro of the show where Bill Mercer is going to explain that.
Welcome to World Class Championship Wrestling from the Sportatorium, the most famous wrestling arena in the world. I'm Bill Mercer, and as you know, professional wrestling has suffered a great tragedy, the death of David Von Erich. Next week, World Class Championship Wrestling will have an hour-long tribute to the memory of David Von Erich. And due to this tragedy, our main event has been changed for this program. We have a double main event. The missing link, that strange apparition that may have oozed out with the lizards. And Iceman King Parsons as one half of this great double main event. The Great Iceman. Missing link and Iceman King Parsons. A wild match. And then there is the Freebird. Buddy Roberts, and his adversary, the gentleman from England, Chris Adams, the American Heavyweight Champion. And we shall be back with Kamala and George Weingeroff next on World Class Championship Wrestling.
Okay, I'll say this. Buddy Roberts versus Chris Adams seemed just so positively random that I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, two of the better workers in the territory.
Yes. Shocking how that works, you know? And I gotta tell you, I wish they did a skit with Max coming out of like ooze or whatever Mercer said there at the beginning.
Come out of the fucking swamp or something.
By the way, immediately, anytime, and again, because this is when I started watching wrestling, was the end of 91, beginning of 92. But anytime anyone ever talks about a double main event, my thought is WrestleMania 8, because that was my first WrestleMania watching live on TV. And so it's like when they talk about a double main event, I'm like, okay, I'll WrestleMania 8 today, right? We're go, you know. And sure enough, the double main event features finishes just as bad as WrestleMania 8's double main event. In fact, it's actually the exact same two finishes.
Was the Flair Savage finish bad? I haven't seen that match in probably 15 years.
I guess it wasn't really bad, but it was a schoolboy. And
I mean, nothing. Look, because this has been the discourse lately. Cradle finish is good, in my opinion.
Yeah, Cradle finish is good. And I guess and I might as well go off on this tangent here, because Flair and Savage were going to carry the company for the next 6 months, actually longer, because they feuded until Survivor Series. So since the babyface was winning the first match, which you could argue was a mistake to begin with, but since the babyface was winning, you don't want to do a super decisive finish. Like a roll-up keeps the feud going. If Savage just pinned him with the elbow off the top, that's it.
Yeah.
You know? But it's like
Really,
still
a pretty good match. Weird.
Oh, it was a damn good match.
Yeah.
Actually, my first WWF show ever was a house show in Fort Pierce, Florida in July of 92. Ric Flair versus Randy Savage was one of two main events. And that was a Mr. Perfect run-in for the DQ finish. And then the actual main event, the last match on the show. So the original advertised match was The Undertaker versus the Berserker. But for some reason, the Berserker was not there. There may have been car troubles or whatever. I don't remember. It's been way too fucking long. And so instead, they changed it to a handicap match where The Undertaker took on an all-time legendary tag team. And it makes sense looking back at it now as to why this team was put together, but it didn't make sense to me as a kid except for just the sheer randomness of it. Kamala and his partner, Mr. Fuji.
What? So weird.
Yeah. Now Fuji was Berserker's manager, so I mean there's a reason for that. And so now I look back, I'm like, okay, Fuji was in there because they wanted to send the crowd home happy with a pinfall in the main event, and Kamala wasn't doing a job. You know.
Yeah, sure. And WrestleMania 8. I really like that. I really like the Bret Piper match on that show. Love that finish. I will always. That's one of my favorite finishes ever. And just like when you hear double main event and think WrestleMania 8, anytime that I see that finish, and it's been done, it's been done. I think. It's the Bret Piper finish. Yes. Oh, I love that. Okay. We don't have time to go on this tangent. We don't have time to get. We gotta finish the stupid show.
Come on. We can make time. We can talk less about Kelly Kiniski. Let's go. WrestleMania 8. Let's talk about it.
Oh, so I remember. So the Rock Austin WrestleMania 17 main event is I love that match. One of my favorite matches. And somebody pointed out that if you look at that match in a certain way, it's kind of like it kind of concludes the Austin-Bret trilogy in a way. It's okay. The Survivor Series 96 match. Love that finish. Austin, who earlier in the year was briefly managed by Ted DiBiase, he tries to do the $1 million dream, and it bites him in the ass because Brett runs up the rope and turns back and pins him. And then they have that WrestleMania 17 match or whatever. And I remember, like, Austin, I don't remember if it was in a promo or like a magazine interview. He said that, like, yeah, I tried to use somebody else's move. I'll never use that. I'll never do that again. And he never did it again until WrestleMania 17 when he was desperate and he put the $1 million dream on The Rock, and The Rock did that exact same spot. And this time Austin knew he had to let go of the fucking hold to not get pinned.
I do not remember that spot in the Austin Rock match.
Love that match.
I just remember Stone Cold is shaking hands with Satan himself. Will
Yeah,
somebody tell me, for the love of God, that this is not happening?
Poor JR.
Yep. So by the way, Kamala beats George Weingeroff's penis.
Phrasing.
Notably, David Manning is not here this week, but George Weingeroff is doing double duty. So Kamala's a cannibal. And of course, George Weingeroff has more penis than the average man. So do you think Kamala has difficulty with his cannibalism when it comes to George Weingeroff?
You know, if you're a cannibal, every fight is a food fight.
Mercer talked about Weingeroff being blind, has a slight disability. Doesn't he mean sight disability?
Ha 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 ha. And yeah, he was talking all about Weingeroff being legally blind, and I just kept waiting for him to talk about his dick, because that's the logical next step.
Yeah.
By the way, Kamala. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You say yours, because I'm gonna.
Kamala, as always, was seconded by Friday, and I heard that Friday is what George Weingeroff calls his penis. Because you know, like that old phrase, his gal Friday or his man Friday. Like, your Friday is your assistant. As Dusty Rhodes would say, your personal. And so your person Friday is the one that handles your business for you. So, Penis Friday.
Okay. So I noted the crowd seemed distracted and weren't paying attention to the match, and I was wondering if this was going to be a sign of things to come. But no, the crowd was actually pretty into the main events of this show. So they just weren't into Kamala versus George Weingeroff's penis, and I can't believe the crowd wouldn't be into this, Kelly Kiniski versus Tom Renesto. Oh, this for fuck's sake. This is the level of match we're getting without any Von Erichs. There's no one else in the goddamn locker room.
They wrestled for 6 minutes, and this match was so boring and felt so unnecessarily long that it might as well have been Johnny Mantell wrestling Johnny Mantell.
I am positive. I wrote that I was positive I'd seen this match as a Mid-South expiration of time match before, and so I looked it up, and technically it wasn't. They did have a match on a Mid-South house show in Oklahoma City, however. Bill Mercer, with the biggest lie of his career, announces that Kelly Kiniski is an exciting young man. That's
lies.
He never tells a bigger lie in his career, and that includes the 2 years that he tries to say that Lance Von Erich is related to Kevin and Kerry. And that's
Kelly
when I looked
Kiniski.
up and...
Kelly Kiniski is a plain white, unsalted saltine cracker.
And by the way, this is when I look up to see how long is he in the fucking territory until, and he's fucking here until October 1985. 18 15 months of Kelly
quit.
Kiniski starting now.
I quit. I can't do this.
Yeah. By the way, when they did the 5-minute call, at first I became frightened that they were going to do a 10-minute draw, but then I remembered when I was looking up to see if they ever wrestled each other before, I had it spoiled. So I knew it was more the go home cue as opposed to the halfway home part of the match.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Kiniski wins with a backbreaker where he nearly lost Ernesto on the way down. Why does every boring wrestler always do some version of a backbreaker? Dino Bravo, I'm looking at you, kid.
Roderick Strong does more exciting backbreakers than everybody else who has ever used a backbreaker as a finisher combined.
Yep. Okay, before we play this Kelly Kiniski promo, Trey, I want to ask you a question, and you just give me the first thing that pops to your head, the normal off-the-cuff answer.
Okay.
Tell me about your background.
Well, I'm a fucker and a fighter and a wild bull rider and a pretty fair windmill hand.
Okay. You know, you're the best part about that promo, you talked about you. Let's go to Bill Mercer, who's going to ask Kelly Kiniski about him and see what Kelly Kiniski has to say.
Out here ringside with Kelly Kiniski. I know you've had a great college background. Give us a little bit of the information on that.
Well, in a minute, Mr. Mercer, but one thing I want to say about David Von Erich. That's a very tragic thing, and he was the #1 contender. But I'm here for business, and business alone. I'm out to make a name for myself on the hotbed of wrestling. I want to introduce a very good person, friend of mine, my dad, Gene Kiniski.
Oh, I remember him from, a long time ago.
Well, I'd just like to say this. I've instilled a very, very fine philosophy in my son, Kelly, and it goes something like this. Do unto others before others do unto you, and it works very, very nicely in this modern society. I have to say this, for every dollar that you spend to see my son, you are going to get a $10 value. He is at the hotbed of wrestling, and you say bigger and better things in the future.
Thank you, the Kiniskis, and we'll be back with more World Class Championship Wrestling in a moment.
Hey, Kelly Kiniski, what's your background? David Von Erich was the #1 contender to the world title. Here's my dad.
Kelly.
Let's never give him a microphone again. In fact, if your name is Kelly, you should not be allowed a microphone. In fact, from now on, anytime Kelly Kiniski is given the microphone, we should play Kelly promos from ECW.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
By the way, when you guys finish up the original ECW, are you going to move on to WWE ECW?
Okay, I have not brought that up with Ben. And it'll be years.
You got 7 years.
That might be when you have to tag in as the co-host on the Oh My God cast.
Plus, you guys are going to have to double up when you get to the TNN days. You know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think we'll just go from doing it every other week to every week then.
Oh, Lord. So Gene Kiniski, the former NWA World Champion, says that for every dollar you spend on watching Kelly, you get $10 in value. So that, by the way, I put that through the inflation calculator. $10 in 1984 is $30.57 in 2025. So you're going to get $30.57 in value every minute that Kelly Kiniski is on TV. Just a reminder, the federal minimum wage is still $7.25, meaning that if you spend $1 on Kelly Kiniski, it is the value of working for over 4 hours.
I wouldn't pay that much money to. I'm sure he's a very nice fellow. He seems like a good egg.
If Kelly Kiniski is listening to this, and I can't imagine why you wouldn't, but if you're listening to this and you want to come on and talk to us sometime, we will not stop you.
Kelly Kiniski, you are always welcome to join me, Maddie in the house, Jason, Jay Sully, Todd Gordon, and Don Morocco in the smoke circle. And Arya. Arya's invited to the smoke circle.
What? Oh my God, what were we talking about the other day with Maddie in the house?
Oh, was that he was the I almost said butler, the doorman at the China Club. That
Yes. Yeah. That was the guy. Like all the people Paul Heyman could possibly see at the China Club and put on TV, he chose Maddie in the house.
you know,
Oh, they kept
I said that exact thing to Ben on the show today, and he pointed out fairly that I can see why Paul Heyman would like Maddie in the house.
okay. Okay. Uh, oh, I'll give you that. Okay. Oh Lord. The oh my God, cast.
Oh, how the fuck have I never thought of that? I'm stealing that.
Oh Lord. If you ever make $1 off that podcast, I'm demanding 30 cents.
Deal. You've earned it.
Okay, great. Leilani Kai versus Penny Mitchell. So we get the popular girl wrestlers on both shows. I'll be honest, I always thought Penny Mitchell had the name Penny Mitchell because she has a passing resemblance to actress Penny Marshall, but then it turns out that's her real name.
Penny Marshall, that was Laverne, right?
Either Laverne or Shirley.
No, that was Laverne. Yeah, I watched a lot of Nick at Night in the '90s.
So Leilani used a double underhook suplex, and the way she held up Mitchell, 2025, me assumed we were either getting an Angel's Wings or an Implant Buster, which I guess are pretty much the same move, but
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was just a double underhook suplex. Kai at one point uses what can be best described as the uterus clutch. And Penny screamed upon having her uterus clutched, and Mercer's only response was to say that Penny is noisy. They they did the cat fight spot where they rolled over referee John Martinez, which, considering how much he fucks up the next match, I want to take that spot away from him. You don't deserve two beautiful women rolling over you, John Martinez.
I'm assuming that this is what he got instead of his $100 or whatever for the taping.
Possibly. So I remember that spot. Do you remember No Mercy 2001? They did Torrie Wilson versus Stacy Keibler in a lingerie match.
Yes.
And I think it's Chad Patton was the referee, and they rolled over him. And it's like, I think if I was Chad Patton, I went without my pay that night and didn't complain.
I watched that show on VHS many times as a teenager, but it wasn't always because of that match.
You were really interested in Kane versus Test?
I really like the Rock Jericho match on that show.
No, I think they had a lot of good matches. That was their best match, I believe.
I definitely think so.
Yeah. By the way, who the hell won? I scrolled away from there for a second. One of them won with a
Penny Mitchell.
drop kick.
Penny Mitchell won with a drop kick off the top rope. And you pointed out that we were just a few months away from Wendy Richter beating the Fabulous Moolah for the WWF Women's Championship. It is almost a year later to the day from this air date. February 18th, 1985, Leilani Kai defeated Wendy Richter for the WWF Women's Championship to lead to the first WrestleMania.
That bitch, Leilani Kai, stealing the belt back.
Yeah, I thought this was a very decent match. Like, they wrestled hard and they wrestled well. Okay, I had to look. I think it was Princess Victoria that I was like, okay, she's good enough. I have to double check that she was trained by Moolah. Yeah, I think these are all Moolah's girls. I don't know. I never have had much of an opinion on Moolah as a worker, but I guess she's a pretty good trainer.
Didn't she train Canyon?
Yeah,
Too?
she did. Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah. Like all she trains are girl wrestlers and Chris Canyon. So
Well, I'm sorry, Canyon. I love you. R.I.P.
well, if you're gay, that's the same as being a girl.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. That was terrible.
Yeah.
It's
You've been watching too much wrestling.
I have. I'm sorry. I'm from Arkansas. Sometimes I don't know any better.
So up next from Points Unknown, representing Devastation Incorporated, where General Skandor Akbar is the boss, Max, versus from St. Louis, Missouri, the gateway to the West, Iceman Parsons. I wrote down Mark Lawrence's entire intro because I'm like, this is going to be more entertaining than the rest of the match. So the match begins.
The match did in fact begin. I can confirm that happened. Early in the match, Bill Mercer is speculating about the possible genetic link between Parsons and Max because they both have hard heads. And that honestly was as interesting as anything else happening here.
So Max smashes his own head in the turnbuckle. So Iceman does the same to mock him. Max is so angry, he gives himself a turnbuckle smash. And as we point out, this is the 1980s, and so all black wrestlers have hard heads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know, like, honestly, like you hear like all the negative stereotypes about black people, and you do like the fried chicken and watermelon. Where did this hard head thing come from? Because I could not find anything like talking about how that was something people said about black people.
Oh, if you'd like, I'll send you some reading recommendations about the phenomenon in the late 19th and early 20th century of quote unquote scientific racism, which yes is an oxymoron.
Oh, God. See the hole we go down on this show? So Max decided to give himself a few unprotected chair shots to the head. And I was in the middle of asking, does that count as a disqualification? When they got back in the ring and Iceman Parsons took the chair and hit Max with it 3 times in the head. And the referee, the referee was distracted by General Skandor Akbar. The referee was bumped. Nope. The referee was not bumped.
He wasn't.
The referee was not distracted by General Akbar. The referee was watching.
The referee did not care. This might as well have been a Von Erich committing a felonious assault on a free bird in front of David Manning.
Yes. I wrote that I assume Ken Mantell booked this show too. He needs to be fired.
I assume that he books all of these shows, and I've been saying for a long time. Fucking Fritz. Goddamn Fritz. If Fritz hadn't fucked Gary Hart on his money for Christmas, Christmas Star Wars.
It was the week of Christmas Star Wars, not just Star Wars.
Okay, yeah, well, fuck. It could have been so much better.
Now, obviously, like, we don't know because we don't have the gate receipts or anything. What would have been an appropriate payoff for him? Because I think he got $2,000 or so he says, and that was so offensive to him that he quit.
Okay, I don't know. I do not know the terms of the agreement that Gary and Fritz had at the time. I do have heard that often, typically, probably it was a part of the agreement that the booker got a percentage of the gate.
And $2,000 was a percentage. It just was
I
not a
don't think it
very
was the
large
right.
percentage.
I don't think it was the right percentage because
Yeah.
that was Kerry and Flair at Reunion Arena, right?
Yeah. Kerry Flair
Yeah.
in the cage that picked off the Von Erich Freebird feud.
Yeah. And
By
Gary
the way,
and Hart will be back, just not as a booker, unfortunately.
yeah. Kamala wandered in for the disqualification.
I
Parsons,
I zoned out for a little while. Kamala wandered out and interfered, and this is a DQ for some reason.
because Parsons gave him she calls that the rear view before returning to the back.
But I just at one point I get Akbar, I don't know, said something or grabbed it at Parsons, and Parsons grabbed at Akbar, and all I could think of was, well, he wants more revenge.
Yes. Yes. I love world class. Feuds never end on this show.
They sure don't.
Like, we complain about, well, I guess they're not really complaining as much because, we haven't been watching it. They haven't been wrestling every week lately. But the Freebirds Von Erichs have been feuding now for 14 months. Chris Adams and Jimmy Garvin have been feuding since the beginning of September. And it's not ending by the looks of it, it's not ending anytime soon. And Iceman Parsons got burned or got fire introduced to his face. He got revenge on General Akbar. He got more revenge on General Akbar. And now he's getting even more revenge on General Skandor Akbar.
As I have mentioned, I recently had the privilege to read our friend Lizzie Flanagan's manuscript of her Gino Hernandez biography. And I have to tell you, when I read that fucking Garvin and Adams were still wrestling each other like in the summer when Gino shows up, I was fucking appalled.
Really? I did not bother to look ahead to see how long they feud until.
Mm-hmm. At least until late summer.
God damn it. Oh, Lord. Buddy Roberts versus Chris Adams with the delightful young lady known as Sunshine. Just a reminder, this is 51 weeks into the World Class reviews, and 51 weeks ago, Sunshine was not a delightful young lady. She was the bitch with the video camera who was Jimmy Garvin's second when they were.
She's turned her life around.
I always love that when they started, Chris Adams refused to wrestle on TV, but he would send Sunshine out to videotape matches. As like, was the camcorder footage really better than the 3-camera shoot here at the Sportatorium that they could have recorded off of the TV?
Okay, here's the thing. Fritz fucked Garvin on a payoff, so he could only afford a camcorder or a VCR.
Oh, God damn it. And a VCR probably cost like $2,000 at the time. So.
They cost about $1,000 in 1979, so they're probably a little lower in '84. They're probably, I don't know. Let me Google how much did a VCR cost in 1984. How much?
And actually, and I don't know when we got it, but we had a VCR growing up. Like, I remember we had one in the '80s, and I don't remember, like, for as long as I can remember, we had it. So, we're looking, 88, 89 at the absolute latest. We had a VCR.
So by '84, they were down to about $500.
Positively affordable, although in comparison to today, using our our Kelly Kiniski branded inflation calculator, that's about $1,500. Keep in mind, my WrestleMania tickets, absurdly expensive, less than the inflation calculator price for a VCR from 1984.
When you told me what you spent for WrestleMania tickets, I almost simultaneously shit my pants and had a brain aneurysm.
I think you might strangle me when I see you for Y'all In. And you're like, you had a problem paying $25 for a ticket, and you spent how much on WrestleMania? So by the way, is this the first time we got the full Freebird Bad Street USA entrance on the show?
Yes, but on one of the Star Wars that we watched, it had it restored for Gordy's entrance. But I
Okay,
think this is the first
okay.
time we've heard it on the TV show.
So what happens when you put two good workers in a match? You shockingly have a good match. Um, there really wasn't a lot to say about this match until the finish. Buddy bounced Chris off the ringside table and into the lap of drunk Mark Lawrence. I bet Adams probably spilled his beer. And then Adams threw Roberts through the ropes, where he bounced off the table too. Uh, and the table did not break, by the way. The table was hardcore. And uh, again, this is 1984. They did not run spots by the ring announcer. And you could kind of see Mark Lawrence was frustrated that they kept running him off of his table
They
by
probably
bouncing
spilled his
off.
drink.
Yeah. And this is the
One of
first
these
of two
days.
tapings. So, I mean,
Yeah.
he's upset because, hey, he's not going to have a beer for next week's show now.
I don't think it. I think other than this stuff, they only taped like one other match because next week
Oh,
is
really?
the clip show. Yeah.
See, I thought they did. I thought they did actual matches. Okay.
According to my research, that is the case, but we will see. All
I
right,
guess we'll see.
one of these days, we need to compare our notes and see how much of them are the exact same thought.
But I imagine they'll probably be very similar. Um, so Adams got a near fall off of a turnbuckle smash. Just a reminder that Max and Parsons did that to themselves like a dozen times. And then Adams won with a schoolboy and a fast count by the referee.
Yeah, well, fucking even
Jimmy
if David
Garb.
Manning's not there, referee's gonna fuck these Freebirds.
Yep. Jimmy Garvin and Precious ran in to protest the finish by attacking Adams and Sunshine, but they made their own comeback, and then Mercer closed the show. So yeah, much like WrestleMania VIII, we had one match with a screwy run-in DQ finish that got fucked up, and one ends with a roll-up.
They reversed the order though, and I think this worked better.
Yes. Yes, and
Good
sadly,
match.
Downtown Bruno was not here to introduce the heel in the main event.
And there was no Papa Shango run in, most unfortunately. But
2 minutes too late.
Papa Shango also invited the smoke circle.
Yes. Now, does Charles Wright have to come dressed like Papa Shango?
No, he can come dressed as the Godfather, which I'm convinced is just what he wears normally.
Yes. We have no proof otherwise.
I don't know why this line always amused me, but it's like some WWF pay-per-view in like middle of 1998. It's like when he's transitioning to being from being Kama Mustafa to being the Godfather, and JR just has a line that, yeah, here's Kama. Folks backstage call him the Godfather or Sir.
I do not remember that. Speaking of random stupid lines, I remember one random ass Raw in the middle of 2002 when they were building up to that random ass Undertaker Jeff Hardy ladder match. And 1 week on Raw, Undertaker's in the ring. He calls out Jeff Hardy, but instead Matt Hardy comes out and he says, "Last week you disrespected Matt Hardy." And Undertaker says, "If you come down here, I'll disrespect you again." And that line just stuck with me for 20 years.
I love it. Was sometime in 2000. I think it was like at Fully Loaded 2000 that they kept doing these backstage segments to lead up to their match. I think like Kurt had like spilled milk on the Undertaker's motorcycle or something, and the whole show, Undertaker's chasing Kurt around backstage, and at one point, Kurt just turns in and yells, "I'm sorry," and Taker goes, "Oh yeah, you're gonna be real sorry when I catch your little ass."
And then like their Survivor Series match was when they had that awesome finish where Kurt goes under the ring, Undertaker pulls him out, gives him the last ride, but it's not Kurt, it's Erich.
Erich.
Angle. and that was tremendous. Like
Yes.
they used Eric Angle twice, and both times it was genius. Because the other time was with the Brock Lesnar match when they teased doing it 2 weeks before WrestleMania, because that was when Kurt had a broken freaking neck, and he was going to get replaced in the main event of WrestleMania by Chris Benoit against Lesnar. So they were going to do the match, have Brock beat him in 10 seconds, and then somehow segue into Benoit being in the match instead. But then Angle's like, you know what? It's my last match before neck surgery. It's the main event of WrestleMania. I can fucking gut this out. So they came up with Kurt switching places with Erich during Brock's entrance, which was just fucking tremendous.
That is a phenomenal. That's a phenomenal finish. The Survivor Series match with Undertaker was also a phenomenal finish. The other thing about that match is that Undertaker wore these awesome snakeskin pants, and that was the only time he ever wore them.
It's like, you're going to talk about the pants, aren't you?
Those pants were so cool.
I think you're the only person who ever liked those pants.
No, okay. I could text my high school best friend Dustin right now and go, "Do you remember the pants that Undertaker wore at Survivor Series 2000?" And he would text back, "Yeah, those were awesome."
That was also the show that they main evented with Steve Austin and Hunter can't do a job, So that was when he gets into a car because they're going to run over Austin on a year to the day from when they ran over Austin at Survivor Series 99. And it said Austin has a forklift, and he lifts Hunter up in the car and tips it over and murders Triple H to death until the next night on Raw.
This is the second pay-per-view in a row that Steve Austin committed an attempted murder.
Yes. And Rikishi also didn't die. And then poor Rikishi then took the best pratfall ever off the Hell in the Cell. When he took
Steve Austin. Yeah, that was great. Steve Austin, great at a lot of things, not so great at murder.
Steve Austin not being great at murder. Somebody write this down. Oh wait, I am.
Oh, I never listen back to the show, but I do always read the synopsis.
Oh, a fun show as always. Oh Lord, we're criminally out of time here. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this week's show. Listen to the Oh My God cast, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Thank you. Fuck you. Bye.